This presentation aims at examining the characteristics of diverse learners with a focus on children with autism and learners of English as an additional language or dialect, analyzing key theoretical models and pedagogical frameworks with particular emphasis on universal design for learning that underpin the design of inclusive teaching and learning practices, developing evidence-based strategies to effective teaching that promote the active participation of all children within inclusive educational settings. What does diversity mean? What does inclusion mean? Diversity refers to a range of needs present in students that relates to differences in students' ethnic, cultural, and social backgrounds, and their abilities and disabilities in contemporary educational settings. Inclusive education refers to the universal right to access regular education, the recognition of capability of all learners, and the commitment of educational institutions to provide high quality and non-discriminatory learning environments that accommodate diverse needs, abilities, disabilities, and backgrounds. How should we live together? What kind of world do we want to create? And how should we educate students for that world? Why are inclusive teaching practices important? There are 3 reasons: human rights, policy and legislation, and outcomes of inclusion. All the learners are equally important. Inclusive education is right of all learners. This is outlined in the UNESCO Convention Against Discrimination in Education, Convention on the Rights of the Child, the Salamanca Declaration, and the Education 2030 ECAN Declaration and Framework for Action. Policies and legislation. National policies and legislation in Australia also outline a commitment of inclusive teaching practices in education, including the Disability Standards for Education 2005, National Quality Framework, Quality Area 3, the designing and creating physical environment that is supporting inclusive practices, addressing diverse learning abilities and making adjustments to accommodate various needs. Quality Area 6, fostering collaborations with families and communities to support inclusion. Quality Area 1, educators' responsibility to examine their own biases and considering how these may be affecting inclusive practices when designing and delivering educational programs. The ELLF promotes inclusive education by embedding principles, practices, and learning outcomes that support all children's active participation in early childhood settings. AITSL Standards for Teachers, Focus Area 4.1, develop strategies to maximize inclusive participation and active engagement among students. Focus Area 1.6, develop strategies to promote the complete inclusion of students with disabilities. Australian curriculum is committed to offering all students equitable and accessible teaching and learning programs that foster expectations and excellence. Outcomes of inclusion. Research provides evidence that inclusive teaching practices result in improved quality of education for all learners, including better academic outcomes, reduced behavior concerns, enhanced overall development, and improved sense of belonging. What are some inclusive pedagogical frameworks? Universal design for learning, multi-tiered system of support, differentiated instruction. Multi-tiered system of support is a framework that allows Educators identify proactive and preventative approaches to facilitate all students' success at school through screening, multi-level intervention system, progress monitoring, and data-based decision-making. Differentiated instruction framework requires educators to tailor the instruction to meet the diverse needs of students by using varied content, process, product, and learning environments based on students' readiness, interests, and learning profile. Universal Design for Learning is a framework that applies evidence-based strategies to maximize learning for all students by providing multiple options of engagement, representation, and action or expression. Why is the UDL effective for supporting diverse learners? It is an evidence-based approach. It is a proactive framework that weaves accessibility, reduces reliance on accommodations, and builds flexibility into adjustments to maximize learners' learning. Educational context. This is a preschool setting in Canberra with 22 children aged between 3 and 5 supported by 2 educators. Student Clara speaks Mandarin and demonstrates a limited understanding of English. She often plays alone. She likes reading. Student Avanit is a Hindi speaker, often mixes Hindi and English. Her interest is art. Student Eli has family history of autism, himself currently undergoing assessment for autism. Eli demonstrates a significant language delay, difficulties to follow routines. He plays along. He shows particular interest in animals and sensory activities. Their common needs include language and communication development support, social-emotional support, and sense of belonging. What are some evidence-based strategies for each learner group? Strategy 1 is exploring Indian and Chinese cultures through cultural arts and cooking projects, such as creating ragoli patterns, making rotis and dumplings. The strategy supports Clara and Avani develop a sense of identity and belonging by incorporating arts and cooking as their home cultures reflected and celebrated in classroom. It encourages cross-cultural understanding, promoting inclusion and respect. It fosters social connections through collaborative cooking and art projects. It links to the UDL design option for welcoming interests and identities, design options for language and symbols. Strategy 2 is exploring learning themes through various ways by watching story video, engaging in singing, reading, art, and creative movements. The strategy supports Clara and Avani's language development, reinforcing vocabulary and sentence structures in context. It enhances story comprehension through multimodal inputs, including visuals and auditory in videos and picture books, sensory in arts, and combined it with movement. It links to the UDL design options for building knowledge and design options for expression and communication. Strategy 1 is supporting routine-related communication by pairing verbal language with visual cues such as picture exchange communication system schedule cards or posters. The strategy supports Eli's learning by combining visual and verbal communication in routine-based contexts, ensuring instructions are clear, predictable, and accessible. It reinforces routine learning for all children and promotes predictability. It links to the UDL design options for sustaining effort and persistence, and design options for language and symbols. Strategy 2 is explicitly teaching social skills and emotion recognitions using demonstrations, visual aids, verbal prompts with symbol languages, and social storybooks. The strategy supports ELI by providing structured, multimodal, and explicit instruction in social skills and communication, thus fostering confidence and positive peer interactions. It reinforces social-emotional learning for all preschoolers, helping them understand and manage feelings, interact respectfully, and resolve conflicts. It links to the UDL design options for emotional capacity and design options for expression and communication. Summary. Inclusive teaching practices are essential in early childhood and primary education due to considerations of human rights, policy and legislation, and the improved outcomes associated with inclusion. Universal design for learning, multi-tiered system of supports, and differentiated instruction are evidence-based pedagogical framework that promote inclusion. Children with autism, EALD learners can be supported effectively through applying UDL strategies, which also provides benefits for all students.